Shalom, Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Naquam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another cold cut or another Monday Night Fire. Salaki, another Monday Night Fire. Giving, of course, all honor and glory to Yahweh by Shema Mashiach, like Yahushai. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Mashiach, like Yahushai. The hardy, mighty Shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there in the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their body as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. A hearty shalom to all of the mighty men who may not be out there in the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying. They're being diligent and abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Akwaf out there, the sincere sisters out there, holding it down in the households, married, and those who submit to their husbands, the sisters who may not be married, who tend upon the Lord without distraction, ancient men and children, and everyone else tuning in live on this Monday night. Shalom, shalom. Kwame Yashala, Vernon Brody, T. Sellers, Anthony Knox, Brother Believe, Jay Show, Daughter Zion, Darayash, right? Or Wash Salakia Nahum, Shalom Kings, Q&A, various breakdowns, and diverse lessons, right? There's a plethora of lessons that we wanted to go into through the spirit, ranging from zeal on how to, catch a fire back with the Most High, to the evil done amongst our people, going into slothfulness. There's so many topics and lessons that we wanted to go into. We just did an amalgamation of one, right? And just went into various breakdowns. So we'll touch on different topics. We'll answer questions as we see them according to the live chat, and we'll go into diverse lessons through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shemiah, right? Salakia, let's dive right into it, right? Salakia, let's dive right into it. Now we have a two-part question, right, from Ariel, and I'll put the questions on the screen like I normally do through the spirit, and we'll just go from there and tackle these as we do fit. And don't be ashamed to put a question. If you have a legitimate question, your question may be somebody else's question. And this answer, sometimes the answers that we go into, they break off into a breakdown or other lessons, and it's all according to how the spirit flows, right? The Lord said it real quick. Let me get this in this the book of St. John, right? The 3rd chapter. This John chapter 3, and I'll start at verse 8. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, and canst not tell whence it cometh, and whither it goeth. So is every one that is born of the Spirit. You see that? So the Most High has the Spirit flow according to his own will and according to his own power. So sometimes you'll go into a lesson, and the Spirit will have you start off in, a breakdown of marriage, but then it may end up into going into geography. Then you may go into the Hebrew. Then you may go into a parable. So it's all according to the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. All right, but dealing with Ariala's two-part question. Is it unwise to travel during Jacob's trouble with family that aren't in the truth? Also, what does Hezekiah mean in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, and how do you spell it? Okay, so that's a two-part question. All right, so let's deal with it. So is it unwise to travel during Jacob's trouble with family that aren't in the truth? Now, first and foremost, let's go to the book of Matthew, right? Now, this question, let's go to Matthew 24 and verse 15. And really, at that time, the men of the family or the woman of the family, they're going to be going through a different set of prophecies than you're going to be going through. Our family is not going to be in the same spirit. And when I say family, I mean your worldly family. Like my mother, she's not in the truth. My aunt, my uncle, they're all in the world, right? They're all in the world. So am I going to be around them or traveling with them in the day of evil? No. You understand? Because according to prophecy, certain men are going to be delivered up, right, by their family. Certain people are just going to be pilgrims on the earth during that time. Some people are going to be in FEMA camps. You understand? Now, let's say you're in a situation and you have your worldly family around you and that they're evil. The Most High commanded us first and foremost to be set apart. Right now, that wouldn't be a wise thing to do, right? You're traveling. The Lord speaks about traveling, right? And traveling with bold fellows and traveling with people who want to do what they want to do, right? Let me get that first. Then I want to go to Matthew. I want to actually go into the prophecy and the spirit that we are going to be in during those days, right? This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 8 and verse 15. Travel not by the way with a bold fellow, lest he become grievous unto thee. But he will do according to his own will, and thou shalt perish with them through his folly. So let's say peradventure, it's like, let me get the brother here.
Shalom, King.
Shalom, King. How about Shemel Shabbat?
Yeah, about Shemel Shabbat.
Yeah, let's say peradventure, you and your cousin Rel, right, and Tony, y'all hear the sound of the alarm, and you let them know that this is the day of the evil, and they say, "Can I tag along?" or whatever the case may be. What the Most High said, travel not with a bold fellow, right? They're going to do what they want to do, right? I mean, you're going to be traveling with somebody who's going to do their own will. Bold meaning they don't believe in the Most High. They believe in their own self, and their reasoning is not rational. Their reasoning is pride, and their reasoning is self-willed. You traveling with somebody that's bold in those days, you're liable to get jammed up, right? You're liable to be delivered, betrayed, robbed. You understand? You don't travel with everybody, right? The Lord said in Ecclesiasticus. And again, in those days, the Most High is going to have the elect in a different spirit, right? And he's going to have those of the word in a different spirit. They're going to go through two different roads, right? According to prophecy. Let me get this quick precept, right? This Ecclesiasticus chapter 42 and verse 1. And I'm going to jump down. It reads, "Of these things be not thou ashamed, and accept no person to sin thereby." So there are certain things that you should not be ashamed of, right? You don't just bite your tongue at every situation. Verse 2, "Of the law of the Most High, and this covenant, and of judgment to justify the ungodly." You don't be ashamed of the law. Don't be ashamed of judgments that are going to happen to Babylon the Great or the wicked. If it says that the so-called white man is going into captivity, don't be ashamed of it. If it says 2/3 are going to perish, don't be ashamed of it. Don't just read the hugs and kisses and Isaac sporting with his wife all day, right? There's also judgment to justify the judgment on the ungodly, right? Here's what I want. Verse 3, "Of reckoning with thy partners and travelers." Let me read that again. "Of reckoning with thy partners and travelers, or of the gift of the heritage of friends." So don't be ashamed when you have a partner or a friend or a traveler and they do things contrary to the way that you want to go. Don't be ashamed to get on them. Hell, you shouldn't even be with them, right? You should be in the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shah. The Lord may have you by yourself, or the Lord may have you with a fellow Israelite, or you may just be out there, man. But that's not something that we really should be thinking about, traveling with our family that aren't in the truth during the time of Jacob's trouble, right? Because we're the ones that's going to be persecuted. In Revelation chapter 12 and 17, that's why I was going into prophecy. It says the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. So the dragon, the so-called white man, he's not concerned about Auntie Luann, man, and Uncle Willie. He's not looking at them, man. They don't pose a threat. They have no need to leave. Why would they be traveling with you? They're not the ones being persecuted. They're not the ones that's going to deny this new world order. They're going to accept it. They're going to bow down to the beast, right? They're the ones that's going to be a partaker of this man's wicked system. They have no need to even be with you. That's why we say in prophecy, we're going to go down two different roads. You're the one that's going to deny this beast. You're the one. Let me get one more real quick, right? This Revelation chapter 12 and verse 11. "And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they," meaning the elect, "and they loved not their lives unto death." That's not talking about your family. That's talking about you, right? Or if you're part of that number, it says they love not their lives unto death. So they're going to make decisions that your family isn't going to make, right? They're going to make sacrifices that your families are going to make. You're going to go in a way that your family will not go in. So prophetically, y'all aren't even going to be going on the same path. But peradventure you were. Hey, the Lord said what he said about traveling and being with bold fellows in your journeys. But you got it, King.
Khan, all praise to the Most High. I'm going to get 2 quick precepts. This second Esdras chapter 6 and verse number 24. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. So the Lord is going to put a spirit on the earth where men are going to start striving against one another, right? And that's not just talking about I want to go right and you want to go left. It's going to be a spirit on the earth, man. The Lord is going to lead the righteous into salvation. Just because you got fringes on and you were once understanding the dietary law doesn't mean that the Lord is going to be with you in the last days. The Lord is going to start judging the earth. And when the Lord starts judging the earth on a manifold level, men's spirits are going to start getting timid. You know, what if the brother you with put a spirit on you, man? He's scared. He's docile. He doesn't know what to do, right? He's saying, well, let's do this and let's do that. He may damn tempt you and lead you into the hand of the enemies, man. So you got to be wise in this thing. It says, at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. So everybody's going to stand in fear. There's going to be a very small remnant of men that are going to be bold in this thing, man. And that's not talking about bold and to fight. It's talking about bold that the Lord is with you. There's going to be terror. You understand? There's going to be earthquakes, World War III. Men are going to be turning against one another. There's going to be famines, pestilence, inflation. All of these things are going to kick off. There's going to be very few men on the earth that are going to be able to have the strength to understand that the Lord is with you, man. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 10, and verse number 20. I'm going to start at 19. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what you shall speak, for it shall be given you in the same hour what you shall speak. For it is not ye that speak, but the Spirit of your Father which speaketh in you. And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father the child, and the children shall raise up against their parents and cause them to be put to death. So, I mean, the Lord's going to put a spirit on the earth where he divides certain men's spirits from one another. That brother you may be laboring at camp, he may fall out in the last days. Your mother may turn you in. That brother you're sojourning with turning you in. If you're going to be a pilgrim on the earth, a pilgrim is a sojourner. Now, unless Yahweh Shai is leading you through the chariot, one man is going to see right and the other man is going to see left. Now, in the wilderness, we had Yahweh Shai. There was no sense of confusion. You had the chariot that led us by day and the fire and pillar by night. And you had Moses on the head of him. So it was order. But in the days to come, brother, what are you going to do? You're going to have to trust the spirit that the Lord's going to put on you, man. I mean, what if brothers is using a compass and the other brother's using a wind? And he said, well, no, this is scriptural. Well, no, that's carnal. Then the other brother's grabbing the compass. And it's going to be a spirit of confusion on the earth. That's going to be very seldom that you're going to have men of the same mind in the last days. All right, let me get this other quick precept. Now, when you go to 1 Samuel, let me get this real fast. It's the book of 1 Samuel, right? Chapter 22 and verse 20. And one of the sons of Abimelech, son of Adub, named Abiathar, escaped and fled after David. And Abiathar shewed David that Saul had slain the Lord's priest. And David said unto Abiathar, I knew it that day when Doeg the Edomite was there, that he would surely tell Saul, I have occasioned the death of all these persons of thy father's house. So when David was sojourning, fleeing from Saul, he was in the wilderness, man. And when he was in the wilderness, he came, when you read chapter 21, he came to Abimelech, to Noab, to Abimelech the priest. Now, when you read this whole thing from 21 chapter to the 22nd chapter, he was amongst men. And as you're sojourning, you may come amongst men, and they may tell you whereabouts. Yeah, I seen him over there. Yeah, he was over there eating bread. So men are going to be snitching, telling, tracking you, stealing from you, right? This is going to be a very hostile spirit that's going to be on the earth, man. You don't want to trust too many people with maybe your flashlight, right? Your food, your sense of direction, or whatever the case may be. They could take advantage of you and slay you, right? Let me get this quick precept in 2nd Esdras. It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 16 and verse 40. It says, O my people, hear my word, make ye ready to the battle, and in those evils be as even as pilgrims upon the earth. He that selleth, let him as be he that fleeth away, and he that buyeth as one that loseth. He that occupy merchandise as he that have no profit by it, and he that buildeth as he that should not dwell therein. He that soweth as if he should not reap, and also he that planteth the vineyard as he that should not gather the grapes. So all these men that are putting in work, right, whether it be food, whether it be building, whether it be establishing, the Lord said that's not going to last, man, because you're going to be a pilgrim. You're always going to be moving. All the merchandise you have, you're going to get robbed and spoiled for. Men are going to enter into your houses, or men are going to be stripping you from your backpacks and all of the so-called resources that you may have present. So you want to be careful who you're confiding and walking in this thing.
That's right. That's right, man. That's right. It's not for the faint of heart. Brother had a second part question. What does Hezekiah mean in the ancient Paleo Hebrew? Hezekiah means Yahweh strengthens. Yahweh strengthens. Right? You see Yah in there, Kazak. So it means Yahweh strengthens. Or Yahweh is my strength. Or it can mean strengthened by Yah or strengthened by Yahweh. That's what Hezekiah means. Right? Now, how do you spell it? In the English, right? It would be Y, if I'm not mistaken, I may double back, but YACHAZAQAHLA, right? So it's Yazak Ha'ala, if I'm not mistaken, right? For Hezekiah in the Hebrew. Okay, let's move on. Okay, the Wad Yashai, right? Why is Jacob described as the father of Joseph, the father of Yahweh Shai, Matthew 1:16? But in Luke chapter 3:23, it says Joseph, father of Yahweh Shai, is Heli. How should we explain the discrepancy? So with that discrepancy in Matthew 1, it goes through the genealogy of David through Solomon. And in Luke, the 3rd chapter, it's the genealogy of David through Nathan, right? Now, when you read it, let me get this real quick. Let's actually go to Luke. Okay, this is St. Luke, chapter 3, and verse 26. 24. It reads, we'll start at 23. And Yahweh Shai himself began to be about 30 years of age. And Yahweh Shai himself began to be about 30 years of age, being, as was supposed, the son of Joseph, which was the son of Heli. Now, one says Heli, one says Jacob. Jacob is Joseph's biological father. Heli is Joseph's father because he was married to Mary, right? So that would have had to been Mary's father that Joseph would have had to been a son of, right? Unless you want to go into something else, King. On that?
Nah, that's plenty.
That's how we usually go into that. Right? One is traced through Nathan, and one is traced through Solomon. Both of them are from the house of Joseph. Or it's like the house of David. Mary's from the house of David, and Joseph is from the house of David. That's why Joseph had to go back to Bethlehem for the taxes. You understand, during the days of Herod. Now, some may say, well, I thought Mary was a Levite, because it says she's the cousin of Elizabeth. That word cousin doesn't mean, it's not the English definition of cousin that we use today. That word cousin in the Greek, it just means a near kinsman or a near relative. You understand? It doesn't mean an actual cousin. As much as a sister could be a fellow Israelite from another tribe. You understand? Just because I'm from the tribe of Judah, you can meet a sister from the tribe of Naphtali and you can still call her sister. Right? So that we have to understand how we operated as a people before we kind of hone in on these definitions in the English and superimpose it on a Hebraic lifestyle. Okay, moving on. Ariala, how do I go about building my zeal even more, but not be overzealous? That's a good question. All right, you want to get in there, King?
Khan, I'll get in there. That's a mighty question through the spirit. It says, how do I go about building my zeal even more, but not being overzealous? Because you could be overzealous, and then you're being overzealous, it could overthrow you. Right? Let me go to the book, right, of let's go to Acts real fast. Now, you don't want to be overzealous to the point where you overthrow yourself, you and your family, because that wouldn't be wise. You know, certain men are just too zealous, you know, to the point where they'll kill themselves. Matter of fact, let me start at Ecclesiastes, man. Let's go to the mighty book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, right, verse number 16. It says, be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? So instead of taking it upon yourself to grab your staff, right, in your 1611 Bible, right, in your cell phone, and just go backpacking throughout the world by yourself, trying to teach all the Israelites in the diverse nations, right? You have no GPS. You don't know where you're going to lodge. You're just backpacking around, just trying to find all the Israelites through Zeal, and you get kidnapped, man, or overthrown or jumped, or something happened to you all through being overzealous because you want to be like your forefathers. You have to be applicable for what's going on. Let's go to the book of Psalms. All right, let me get this quick precept in Psalms. So the Lord said, it's the book of Psalms, chapter, let me see what I want, 24 and verse number 3. It says, through wisdom is an house building, and by understanding is it established. So you could build up your house through wisdom. The wisdom is the wisdom of God, the wisdom of the scriptures. You could put this together as the foundation. You got your house, you putting this over here, you know, applicable knowledge, practical knowledge, geography. You building up all of your house by the wisdom of the Lord, and by understanding is it established. So you have to make sure the understanding that you have with the correct precepts is applicable to establish a house. Because one precept may be out of season for you, brother. Doesn't mean that the precepts are bad and that they're counseling you a wrong way, but it may not be for the season you're taking it in. Right? Verse 4, it says, and by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with all precious and pleasant riches. So according to the Bible, you have to have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You can't just use all wisdom. And all you go by it's just prophecy, man. You have no practical knowledge on how to build up your life. Don't go to work every day. You're just too shaking the hand outside. So you want to have those three because you have to have practical knowledge. Practical knowledge is going to teach you how to go to work, how to treat your children, how to build up your household with your family. You got to have the wisdom to know prophecy and times, how to direct yourself to the days to come, how to prepare. You have to have the Salakia, the knowledge. You want to know about history, things that have happened, things that are going to come to pass, going into the Hebrew. So all of these three will be applicable to you moving in a zealous spirit. To be overzealous is to not have all three of these, just using one. You know, that's practical knowledge one-on-one. You don't want to be that brother that just studies prophecy all day and doesn't have a sense of knowledge or understanding. But you got it. I'll get another precept out.
Yeah, real quick, just to add on that, how do I go about building? How do I go about building my zeal even more, but not be overzealous? Now, the word zeal, or I want to go into this. The word zeal, it means fire, right? That's what the word literally means. If we go, I'm gonna put it up in the concordance. You're more than welcome to look it up on your own at home. But if we go to this word zeal, right? I want to go into this. Right, this is Colossians 4:13. For I bear him record that he hath a great zeal for you, and them that are in Laodicea, and them in Hierapolis. So here's the word zeal in the Greek, right? It says, I'm gonna play it, is zelos.
Strong's G2205. Zealous. Zealous.
Now it says excitement of mind, ardor, fervor of spirit, zeal, ardor, embracing, pursuing, defending anything, the fierceness of indignation, punitive zeal, right? Now it says an envious and contentious rivalry or jealousy. But it says fervor of the spirit. When something is fervent, it means it's on fire. It's burning. So I would, to add to what the brother's saying, to build your zeal, first and foremost, let me get this in James, right? To build that fire. And that's a beautiful thing to want to build up. This James chapter 1 and 17. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. So first and foremost, and to add to it, I will pray to Yahweh, Bashmi Abushai, right? Because you could go about something in your own mind and not acknowledge Yahweh Bashmi Abushai, who gives the gifts. It says every good gift and every perfect gift coming from above. A brother that has a memory, excellent in the precepts, that comes from the Most High. A brother that's eloquent and patient, that comes from the Most High, right? Every good gift in these spirits, because they're nothing but spirits, right? The ability to be humble is a spirit, right? The ability to provide counsel is a spirit. So those spirits are sent from the Most High to work on your mind, to allow you to do things that magnify his name. So I would pray to Yahweh Bashmi Abashai that the Most High gives you more zeal, right? And then that spirit will start working on you. And while you're in the flesh, you understand you have to ask yourself in the spirit, because zeal is not something that you can really force, right? A lot of our forefathers, they had zeal due to things that they saw, right? They saw oppression. They saw the enemy coming in. They saw the city being besieged, and it stirred up the zeal in them. You can't just turn on zeal like you could turn on Super Saiyan mode when you was a kid watching the show, man. You just powering up zeal. It don't work like that. Zeal is a byproduct of how your spirit reacts to oppression, adversity, you understand, opposition, right? Desire. So in order to get more zeal, what I would encourage you to do, I would get into these scriptures more. I would read more. I would pray more. And in the spirit, you're going to have a reason to be more zealous, right? It's not something that you really are going to force. It's just going to be in you to kind of obtain and acquire. Like if I'm reading the book of Second Mac, or I'll give a personal example, like reading about David's life in Second Samuel. Every time I read Second Samuel in the spirit, I'm like, man, I gotta be more like David in his righteousness, man. I gotta be more fine, man. This man, Paul, Nehemiah, a certain men, like, man, I examine myself and I'm like, man, I gotta do more. So faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. So when you see the acts of our fathers, it should trigger that spirit in you. Even the apostle Paul told Timothy, stir up the gift of God that is in thee, right? So you stir that up by using also the gifts and talents that the Most High gave you, right? And that zeal will increase and increase. You got to play with the fire that the Most High gave, not play, for lack of better terms, but use the talents the Most High gave you, and that you'll find that zeal increasing and increasing, because you'll see the reward of you using that work. One more point, like when brothers study, right? Sure, Ryan could testify. Brothers talk about it all the time. If you studying all week, you bring out precepts, at camp to be able to magnify the name of the Most High and teach, it puts a zeal on you, man. Wow, that was beautiful, man. I was in the word all day. Jake got edified. I was able to go through these precepts and use them to bring back the sheep. And then it makes you want to go harder the following week, then the week after, then the next day, then the next day. And now you have a naturally created spirit to have that zeal. So I just want to bring that up.
To touch on that point you just made, when you study, it gives you a sense of confidence. When you have a sense of confidence, that creates a spirit of boldness. It's not that brothers have a machete in their pocket when they're teaching, or some type of weapon, man. The spirit of the Most High, it puts a spirit on you of boldness to answer questions, to defend the gospel, to fight against demons, to cut up doctrines, to move in a spirit to where you're actually the vessel to break those rocks into pieces, man. Right? And ultimately, like the brother said, you want to pray into the Most High. It's what the the mighty brother Nehemiah. It's the book of Nehemiah, chapter 7, and verse number 4. Now the city was large and great, but the people were few therein, and the houses were not builded. And my God put into my heart to gather together the nobles. So, I mean, having a sincere spirit, the Lord will come to you, man. Whether to build you up in prophecy, counsel, right? Whatever the case may be of a spiritual gift, the Lord put it in Nehemiah's heart. Like the brother said, you can't cut on the zeal, right? It's the Sabbath day, then you hit the switch, the Sabbath switch, and you turn into an on-fire Israelite. You have to maintain that fire throughout the week. Certain stuff you just can't fake, man. You can't fake being on fire. You can't fake being in this truth. You can't fake it because you make a fool man for a season, but the Lord is going to blow out your candlestick in the obscurity of darkness. It says, and my God put in my heart to gather together the nobles and the rulers and the people that they might be reckoned by genealogy. And I found the register of the genealogy of them which came up first and found written therein. So a lot of the stuff that Nehemiah was doing, the Lord put it in his heart. And we look at Nehemiah as zealous. He took it upon himself to go build. He took it upon himself to gather the rulers. He took it upon himself to get the priests in order. He took all of these things upon himself because the Lord put it in his spirit. So he had a very zealous spirit to get you know what done. And the Lord put that spirit on him.
Yeah, and another point, your zeal is only as strong as your faith. You're not going to be zealous about something that you really don't believe in. You're not going to have a fire and yearning about something that you're not really persuaded it's the truth. So if you want to know how to build your zeal up more, the true question is, how do I build my faith up more? Because the more faith you have for something, the more naturally zealous you're going to be to do it. You have men that were zealous in their wickedness, but they really believed what they was doing was right. The Apostle Paul was one. Remember, Paul said, concerning zeal, persecuting the church in the book of Philippians. Now, he was zealous, but he really believed he was serving the Most High. He really believed he was doing the right thing. He had so much faith. He said, I'm not just going to be like the rest of you Pharisees. I'm going to go after these guys. Right? Let me get that real quick in Philippians. This Philippians chapter 3 and verse 5. I'm going to start at 5. Circumcised the 8th day of the stock of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, and Hebrew of the Hebrews, as touching the law, a Pharisee. Concerning zeal, if you wanted to check how zealous he was, he about to explain what he did. Persecuting the church, touching their righteousness, which is in the law, blameless. So if you want to know how zealous a brother is, you're going to know how much that brother believes. There is a man in 2 Maccabees 14, which we can get into, who pulled out his organs. That man was zealous. He pulled out his intestines and damn near threw it at him, huh? Because he really believed in the resurrection. Right? He truly believed. So faith is the root of zeal. So you can't turn on zeal. You have to increase your faith. And faith stems into you having zeal. Because zeal is going to be predicated off of your works. Right? So your faith is you believing in the Most High. And different men have works according to how much they believe. And if a man is zealous in his works, it shows the amount of faith that he has in the Most High. If a man is not zealous in his works, it shows where he doesn't believe in the Most High. Right? Let me get one more of that. Right? This is Numbers, the 25th chapter. Right? There's a famous forefather, Phineas, who was zealous. Right? And the Lord rewarded him in his zeal. Right? This is Numbers chapter 25, verse 10. And the Lord spake, I'm not going to read the whole account, but Phineas went and thrust this man through with a javelin, man, and his woman through her belly, right? I'm led to believe he thrust it through and it came out her mouth, right? Verse 10. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Phineas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, hath turned my wrath away from the children of Israel, while he was zealous for my sake among them, that I consumed not the children of Israel in my jealousy. Right, so his zeal came based off of the amount of faith he had in Yahweh Basham Yahushua. Right, and he wanted the church to be spotless and blameless. Now, overzealousness comes due to a lack of temperance. Temperance is another gift that you have to have. right? Temperance and the ability to be sober. It's called doing things in moderation, right? So you channel your works through wisdom, and wisdom teaches you to be moderate in your works and how you behave yourself, right? So when you're moderate, you do things by measure and you do things by weight, right? Kings, when they go to war by measure and by weight. They don't send the entire army at one time and just go kill everybody. They may send 300 guys, man, because it's necessary. They don't need to send 500. You don't think they have zeal to kill their enemy, but they have moderation to know how to balance wisdom and the zeal that they have. So if you don't want to be overzealous, you have to also pray that the Most High gives you a temperate spirit to be sober and move in moderation, right? You got it, King.
Con, there's so many accounts, man, to go into. But I just want to quote a couple and we can go to the next one. Right in Acts, the 23rd chapter, right, you had the high priest, he was being overzealous against Paul, right, smiting him up, right, reviling all the gods, just being proud in his position that he had, being overzealous of the law, putting his hands on people, and now he's just going off, right? You got certain men, you don't want to buck up like the captains of the host, Azarias. When you read the book of First Maccabees, they wanted to make a name for themselves. Now, was that a wise decision? It may sound right in your head, when I'm about to go to war, like Judas Maccabees, I'm about to slay these men. Let's do it. Who's with me? Gone. Everybody on one accord. Next thing you know, you're being overzealous. You done overthrew yourself, man. So order is very important. So you want to have order in everything you do, and don't let the zeal you have overthrow that the order the Most High established. That's all I got.
Yeah, hey, King Saul, so-called King Saul, killed a slew of Gibeonites in his zeal.
Yep.
Well, when did the Most High tell him to do that? And being overzealous also is being proud, right? When somebody's overzealous, it's really rooted in pride, all right, and a lack of understanding, because now you're doing things against the law. You gotta know how to control that fire, man. You give a guy a gun, he gets trigger happy, man. Right? You turn into Omar Epps, man, and what is that? In Too Deep.
Right.
Right. Give me the ooh up. Then he blew all of the bullets, man. Then take his time, then aim. We know the movie. We know what happened. He missed on purpose. But peradventure, hey, that was a real deal. He's supposed to take your time, man. And aim. Really, it's about self-control. You got a sniper. Snipers have to have self-control. They got to breathe. They have to know how to maintain a body, breathing mechanisms, right? They have to have focus, right? You have to, and these guys they have the ability to just kill people like that, man, right? But they have self-control. So they're not overzealous, just doing God knows what, man. Right? Don't be overzealous and then you become a fool. Right? Like the brother said, you just packed up all your bags. You called your boss. I quit. Right? You just quit, and then you put a few stuff in the bag and just became a vagabond on the earth. Man, I'm gonna teach the gospel. I'm Paul. Snuck on a cruise ship so you could go to Bora Bora. I want to teach in the Philippines. Snuck on the airlines. So now you're in somebody's jungle somewhere, man. Right? Doing God knows what. So you can move on. Yeah, it's a whole breakdown, Ray. You go into a whole breakdown on this, right? So we can move on. Okay, again from Dawad Yashai. So these brothers, they got their questions in early. Okay, will the 144,000 kings rule with Yahushua forever, or 1,000 years in the kingdom? Please break down Revelation chapter 20, verses 4 through 6, Revelation chapter 21, verse 5, in terms of the length of rulership with the 144,000. Right? So that's the brother's question. 1,000 years. So let me get this precept real quick. Right? I'm gonna read it. If you want to go into it, you can go into it. King, right? But this is Revelation chapter 20 and 4. And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahushua and for the word of God, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Hamashiach 1,000 years. Now, does that mean after the 1,001 year they got to take their crown off, then get off their throne, right, and then go back to be whoever they was? No, man. Right? When it says they reign with the Lord 1,000 years, we have to know sometimes the word 1,000 is literal, sometimes it's not. Right? Sometimes the word 1,000 could literally mean 1 year after 999. Sometimes 1,000 means completion. Right? It means perfection. Right? So the 144,000 are going to rule forever. The Lord said, let me get a quick precept real quick. In Daniel 7. Right? This is Daniel chapter 7 and verse, leave it one, 18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Right? So they're going to be ruling with the Lord forever. Are not the 12 apostles part of that number? Right? So are Peter, John, and James just going to have to stop judging the 12 tribes? Just want to make that point. You got it, King, because I'll be long-winded.
Khan, I want to touch on a quick point on that too, right? Let's go to the book of Sirach, right, chapter 18, just to get a quick precept on 1,000. Because like the brother was going into, 1,000 is a number of completion, right? Sometimes in the scriptures you'll have 100, that's a number of completion, right? Sometimes you'll have 7, 3, 40, 12. These are all spiritual numbers, right? It's the book of Sirach, chapter 18 and verse 9. The number of a man's days at the most are 100 years. As a drop of water into the sea and a gravel of stone in comparison of the sand, so are 1,000 years to the days of eternity. So that doesn't mean that after you start counting all of the sand on the earth, and then you come up with a strategic number that you break the calculator with, and that's how long we're going to rule for, and you can count your days in the kingdom. No, 1,000 is just likened unto a gravel of sand, because nobody can truly measure out all of the gravel of sand on earth. That's impossible. Right? Only the Lord can do that. You went to all of the beaches on all of the earth, and the sand from the so-called island all the way to it goes into the sand of the sea, right? Because sand isn't just on ground, it's under the ocean as well, right? All the way to you get to the depth of the ocean. The Lord is likening it to an infinite number, meaning forever. Nobody will be able to count all of the dust particles on the top of that fan, or be able to count all of the grass on the earth, or count all of the sand. So that number 1,000 is a number of completion that the elect is going to reign with Yahushua for. They're going to reign forever and forever. You got it.
Salakia. Yeah, I mean, that's right, man. This is Matthew chapter 18 and verse 24. And when he had begun to reckon, one was brought unto him, which owed him 10,000 talents. Now, this is a parable. What does 10,000 talents represent? That means this man's infinite sins, right? And his great multitude of iniquities, his debt that he owed Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. But it's likened unto what number? 10,000, right? We go into these numbers all the time. We know what 3 means, 6, 7, 9, right? 10. And different, I'm trying to think of the so-called mathematical term, but exponents of 10, right? They all mean completion. So you have 100, you have 1,000, 10,000, right? They all mean a whole amount or completion. Now, let me get another quick precept on that. This is Revelation chapter 11 and verse 13. Revelation 11 and 13. And the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. And then the earthquake was slain of men 7,000. And the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the God of heaven. The second woe was past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So why does it say when the elect are delivered that a 10th part of the city is going to fall? What city is that? America. Now, if you were to look at that number literal, you would think that maybe just a portion of California is going to be destroyed, or Miami, right? Or New York. Do you think that literally a 10th part of America is going to fall when you have 1,000 other prophecies that speak about this place being completely destroyed? No, a 10th part of America is not literally going to fall. But that 10th means what? Completion. Even if it's a 10th, or it could be 10,000, it still means perfection or completion, which means this entire place is going to be destroyed. And it also said, and then the earthquake was slain of men 7,000, right? 7,000 means everybody in America is going to die. It's not the elect. So you have these numbers that have a spiritual meaning behind it, right? So that you have people say, well, the millennial kingdom. The millennial kingdom is a Christianity doctrine. You don't find the word millennial kingdom in the Bible, right? They're looking at that 1,000 years and say, well, it's just 1,000 years. And after that, right, get off the throne and go sit down. And here comes Gog and Magog. And that's not what it's talking about, right? We'll have to do a whole breakdown of Revelation 20. Because you got individuals who really believe we're going to reign for 1,000 years. And then you have Gog and Magog who's going to come back and try to overthrow the Lord. So the Lord got to get back inside the chariot, right? Shake the dust off of his sword at a surprise attack in the kingdom from the enemy. Make it make sense. You got it, King.
And what don't make sense about that doctrine, when you jump to Revelation 20 and 7, it says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosened out of his prison. So I thought there would be no more crime. When you link these precepts up, you can't go wrong. Let's go to Revelation chapter 21 and verse number 5, right, real fast. It says, I'm going to start at 4. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. So if your enemy is beseeching you, that can make women cry, babies cry. That can make men frantic. That can have people in a sorrow to get off of myrrh, joy. So you telling me we could have a surprise attack by Russia on a feast day in the kingdom of heaven? We're in mirth dancing, and we got all of our fathers, and out of nowhere, sorrow. Somebody's going to have to blow the trumpet. We're going to have to sound the alarm. That's madness, man. That's just complete madness. Verse 5, and he that sat upon the throne said, behold, I make all things new. What does that mean, man? I mean, we're going to have immortal bodies. Our minds are going to be made new. Hey, the earth is going to be made new. Right, let me get this quick precept, man. Let me go to the classic. So Revelation, you can't read that in chronological order and just take it as it is written. You have to go precept upon precept, prophecy upon prophecy, man. If you read it like a story all the way down, you're going to be confused, right? This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 29 and verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. So you're saying that Russia, Gog and Magog, after the 1,000 years, are going to be back in rulership or attack, and the people are going to be in mourning. But yet the Lord said that there's going to be no more sorrow. So that chronological order of how a lot of people break down that prophecy or understanding is completely false. So you have to have the correct understanding when you're going into these prophecies. You got it.
Two quick precepts. This Psalms chapter 46 and verse 6. The heathen raged, the kingdoms were moved, he uttered his voice, the earth melted. The earth melted because the Lord is coming back with the chariots, right? And the missiles are going to hit the earth, right? So it's a prophecy about the Lord destroying the heathen. Let's read on. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge, Selah. Come, behold the works of the Lord, what desolations he hath made in the earth. So David said after the destruction prophetically, look at America destroyed. Oh, check out, see what happened to the Eiffel Tower. Oh, look at the San Francisco Bridge. Hey, damn, look at that crater right there. Look at those trees broken down. Come on, look. Let's go see the works of the Most High. Let's see his desolations that he made in the earth. Let's read on. He make this Psalms 46:9. He maketh wars to cease. Let me read that again. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaketh the bow and cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariot in the fire. So that's plain. So that means they're going to go build their bows back up behind the Lord's back and put the wheels back on the chariot in the middle of the night while the Lord, right? Then they assemble an army as the sand of the sea. Right? Let me get this real quick. This Hosea, right? That's where Ryan said you gotta go through these prophecy upon prophecy. That's a new one, precept upon precept. We're not adding to the word, but you do gotta go prophecy upon prophecy.
Right.
Right? Right. Don't it's not in there. Don't say it like that, but you know, that's what you gotta do. You gotta go into the Psalms, then you gotta go into Revelation. Right? This Hosea, real quick, chapter 2 and verse 14. It reads, therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak comfortably into her. So it speaks about the second wilderness, right? Verse 16. And it shall be at that day, said the Lord, that thou shalt call me Ishi and shall no more call me Baali. Meaning you're going to call me husband. You're not going to call me these false gods anymore. Verse 17. But I will take away the names of Baalim out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. So this in the wilderness, right? Verse 18. And in that day will I make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field and with the fowls of heaven and with the creeping things of the ground. And I will break the bow and the sword and the battle out of the earth and will make them to lie down safely. That's plain. That's plain. And that link directly up with Psalms. No more wars, no more battles. That's going to start in that second wilderness. So how are you going to have 1,000 years after the Lord broke the bow and made war cease to have another war after a literal 1,000 years? Right? That's how you know. When you read Revelation 20, you got to kind of jump up and down a little bit. Right? When you read 1 through 3, you got to pick it back up at 7, and that's how you bridge Revelation, the 20th chapter. Otherwise, your understanding of the chronology of prophecy is going to be all jammed up. Right? You got it, King.
Con. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 144, and verse number 7. Rid me and deliver me from the hand of strange children, whose mouth speaketh vanity, and their right hand is a right hand of falsehood. Meaning, beam me out of the land of wickedness, man, out of the hand of strange children. Deliver me, that our sons may be as plants grown up in their youth, that our daughters may be as cornerstones polished after the similitude of a palace, that our gardeners may be full, right, affording all manner of stone, that our sheep may be bring forth 1,000 and 10,000 in our streets. Check this out. This is the point. That our oxen may be strong to labor, and that there be no breaking in, nor going out, that there should be no complaining in our streets. Let's talk about the kingdom of heaven. So if there's not going to be no complaining in the streets, nobody's going to say war, war, war. Nobody's going to grab a trumpet. Nobody's going to frantically run to a horse. Nobody's going to gather up an army. Nobody's going to sound the alarm. There's going to be no confusion in the kingdom. The Lord said that our oxen may be strong to labor, that there be no breaking in, no going out. So nobody's going to be breaking in your house anymore. No enemy, no nation, not your own people. Right? You got your door unlocked in the kingdom, man. Your windows open. A lot of the people in West Virginia and the far country, they be having their doors unlocked, man. Right. It's a small so-called town. They'll go to the store, leave their door open. Because a lot of these rich people, they don't fear the rich robbing them, man. When you go to the poverty areas, you got to have that jail bar casing on your windows. You got to have 2 locks. You lock it like this, right? You got to put a damn stick onto your doorknob. right? You got to frantically look out the window every 5 minutes where you hear walks and footsteps and voices. It's not going to be like that in the kingdom. It says that there be no complaining in our streets. Happy is the people that in such a case, yeah, happy is the people who God is the Lord. Right, that's plain.
God, I got another one real quick. This Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 7. This speaking about Yahweh Shai. Of the increase of his government and peace, there shall be no end. So that means his peace will end after 1,000 years. Then we got to fight. Then you got peace again after that. Let me read that again. Of the increase of his government and peace, there shall be no end. Meaning no interruptions, right, from the enemy. It's forever. Upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will perform this. Right? So that answers that. That's the forever. Now the brother, hold on, let's go back to it. I believe we tackled it. Revelation 20 and verse. Okay, I'll read 5. Revelation 20 and 5. But the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power, but they should be priests of the Most High and of Hamashiach, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. So the first resurrection is when Yahweh Shai returns, right? And the elect are beamed up. That's why it's called the first resurrection, because these men are the first fruits of Yahweh Bashmi Yahweh Shai, right? They're the ones that are going to get taken up out of their graves and taken up out of the earth and beamed up in the chariots, along with those that are alive and remaining. See that in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, 13 through 17. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds. If you're part of that first resurrection, the second death hath no power. The second death is the death by fire, the death by the chariots, right? The death by the missiles. You understand? That's that second death. So when it says in verse 5, but the rest of the dead live not again until the 1,000 years were finished, this is the first resurrection. So some brothers may say, well, look, that's going into the place called hell. You have brothers in hell for 1,000 years, and after that, they get to come out of hell and get judged. That's not what it's talking about. All it's saying is when Yahweh Shai returns, it's those elect are going to be taken up and beamed up, then those wicked are going to be destroyed. But they're going to be born back on the earth in process of time, right? Because you're going to have your slaves reproduce, and them have slaves, and them have slaves, and those slaves have slaves. That's what it means until those 1,000 years were finished. It's not, again, literally going into a set time, and then people come out the grave, and then there's a judgment. It's like a dark saying. And then verse 6, blessed and holy, we read that already. Or did we? Blessed and holy is he that hath part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power. They should be priests of the Most High and of Hamashiach, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. So that's still going into that forever deliverance. You have something to that, Orion?
No, I can't.
And then the brother asks about Revelation 22 and 5. First he said 21 and 5, but he meant 22 and 5. Okay, Revelation 22 and 5. And there should be no night there, and they need no candle, neither light of the sun, for the Lord God giveth them light, and they shall reign forever and ever. Right, so that's spiritual. That's spiritual. It's not saying that it's not going to be no more nighttime. Our days begin in the night, right? That you're always going to have day and night, right? You're always going to have the sun and the moon, right? So when it says now the light of the sun, this is all spiritual. It's all hip talk. This is not literal at all, right? But you have Christianity who impose their doctrine on you, say, well, there's not going to be no more night, no sun. So what's the Most High going to do with the sun, man? Destroy it? Withdraw it back? Turn it to a black hole, a super nebula? Right? That's madness, man. There's so many precepts that we can go into Right, but you got it, King.
Con, I want to get this quick precept just to show you that it's hip talk. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 15 and verse 9. I'm gonna start at 8. Jeremiah chapter 15 and verse 8. Their widows are increased to me above the sand of the sea. I have brought upon them against the mother of the young men a spoiler at noonday. I have caused him to fall upon it suddenly, and terrors are upon the city. This is the point. She that have borne 7 languish, she hath given up the ghost. Her son is gone down while it is yet day. She hath been ashamed and confounded. So that's just talking about the state that she's in. Her son has went down, right, while it is yet day, man. Now, can the sun go down while it is yet day, or is it daytime and then there's nighttime? The sun going down while it is yet day is talking about morning. It's talking about the spirit of the Lord being with you, shining upon you, going down upon you, and terror taking hold upon you. So the sun could be hope, like you read about in the book of Second Esdras, chapter 5 and verse 3 all the way down, right? Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 1 all the way down. Or sun could smite you, like you read about in Psalm chapter 91 and verse 1 all the way down, right? In Jeremiah 15. So the sun could be wisdom, knowledge, hope, destruction, all in its proper context. The sun is used for hip talk in the scriptures.
Yeah, and when it says there should be no night there, it's speaking about darkness, right? Confusion, sin, evil, right? That's why it says no night, right? When you go into the law or go into the scriptures, the Lord said that darkness will cover the earth and gross darkness to people. Another name for darkness is night. That's in the creation. God, let me read that. This Genesis chapter 1, Slakia, and verse, I'm going to start at 5. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. So when it says night, night is literally darkness. They mean the exact same thing. They're synonyms. It says, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So if there's no more night, what does that mean? There's no more darkness. Who puts darkness on the earth? The so-called white man, by covering up the light with his philosophies, doctrines. You understand? Medicine, pharmaceutical industry, media. You understand? This is how the so-called white man pushes darkness on the earth. Right? Let me get this in Isaiah 25. But in the kingdom, there will not be any more nighttime. Isaiah 25 and 7, it reads, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. So the so-called white man took a sheet, for lack of better terms, and threw it over the whole people of the earth. Now nobody knows the truth. That's why he's the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so. His job is to push forth night. Just like the cherub job is to have wings that face like this, that cover the Most High for the Ark of the Covenant. That's the job of the cherub, to cover the Most High in his glory and the mercy seat. So Esau, he's that cherub that covereth. What is he covering up? The Most High. The Most High hip talk called him a cherub, a spirit, a demon, to block you from getting the truth by pushing forth nighttime on the earth. Right? That's why you can't have trees really growing in nighttime. They need the sunlight. Right? Certain creatures operated in nighttime. Owls, foxes. That's why Esau is called a fox in the Bible. A fox is a nocturnal creature. You got a special thing in AI. I can't remember the chemical name, but they can actually see well in the night. They were created to prosper in the night. Owls and jackals and foxes, you know? So that's why he pushes forth that nighttime. But in the kingdom, there ain't going to be no foxes. The Lord said, let us take the foxes that spoil the vine. Right? So we're going to put these nighttime creatures in captivity, and we're going to turn the night into day. Let me get one more real quick, dealing with the night. Right? This Job.
Salakia King. It's called nocturnal.
Yeah, nocturnal. They're nocturnal creatures. Now there's a I was thinking about let me see. Hold on. You got it, King. I want to find this because there's an actual chemical in their eye. Okay, here it is. So it's called tapetum lucidum. It's a layer of tissue in the eye of many vertebrates, right? The tapetum lucidum contributes to superior night vision in some animals. Many of these animals are nocturnal, especially carnivores, while others are deep sleep animals, deep sleep. So the Most High kind of created this particular chemical in their eyes that allows them to see at night. He made them that way. Esau has a certain mind that allows him to prosper at night. They got a certain thing that allows them to do well at night. You know, they freak off, they get real nasty, right? They start bowing down to serpents. The nighttime get crazy, man. Now I want to get this last precept in Job, right? Job chapter 24 and verse 13. It reads, they are of those that rebel against the light. They know not the ways thereof, nor abide in the paths thereof. The murderer, rising with the light, killeth the poor and needy, and in the night is as a thief. So in the nighttime, he's a thief. He puts on his disguise called white man, Caucasian, German, and Dutch, and he spoils and robs the earth of natural resources, peace, and sanity, man. So he dwells in the night. And the kingdom won't be no more night. You know?
And one quick point too. When you read the book of Sirach, chapter 16, it's Sirach chapter 16 and verse 27. He garnished his works forever, in his hand are the chief of them unto all generations. They neither labor nor are weary, nor cease from their works. So the sun is not going to cease from his works. It's not going to take a day off. It's not going to put in his 6 days. The sun is going to always come out and stand in his watches, as well as the moon and the stars. We read about that also in the book of Sirach, chapter 42, and verse 22. It says, oh, how desirable are all his works, and that a man may see even to a spark. All these things live and remain forever for all uses, and they are all obedient. So when the Lord call out, you understand the sun to come out, the moon, the stars, whatever the case may be, they're all going to be obedient unto the Lord, and they're going to always stand in their Pacific watches.
I got one more on that, right? This classic Jeremiah chapter 31. Let me read 35. It reads, thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. So like that link up with the brother went into in Sirach 16. If the Lord shut down the sun and the moon, that means Israel is shut down. Right? So we know that's not what that's talking about. And really, and it said no more sun. To what the brother said, the job of the sun is to give you light, of course, right? So our source of light comes from the sun on a spiritual level, right? The light is really the law. You understand? So we get our knowledge now, you know, from the Bible. We have it on, you know, in text right there. But in the kingdom, we're gonna have it all on the inward parts, right? That's why it says the Lord doth lighten the city, because we're gonna have that light of Yahweh Ba'ashem Rashai in us. We're gonna be perfect, immortal, automatically righteous. So we don't need our light source to be from a creation. Our light source is going to be strictly from the Creator. The Most High is going to directly work with us and have that light in us as that city. So we're not going to need no night, because we're going to be immortalized in the wisdom of the Most High. You know, so that's why it's all hip talk in Revelation, because you know, you type it in on Google Images, they'll show you a city with no sun and no moon and all types of madness going on, man. But that's all I had on that. Brother just said it's a blood moon too in the sky right now. Just got a hot text, man. Brothers, keep watch. Breaking news. It's a blood moon out here on the East Coast. If you're on the East Coast, I think it's been back-to-back blood moons. You know? But you got it, King Salaki.
Khan, yeah, that's all I had on that. We can go to the next one.
Okay, Khan. Yeah, I want to see if I can find the. Yeah, you look it up online. It's madness, man. They make it seem like it's some mythological place, the kingdom. These are good questions, man. Good questions. Right? Excellent questions. HBKN. Is burning sage in your house wicked? Let me get. I got a precept. Now, burning sage is not wicked, but if you're burning sage and you're giving power unto that sage to drive out demons and evil spirits, now your mind is going bad, right? So there's a lot of things that the Most High created that marijuana isn't wicked, but if you smoking it and burning it and rolling it up with nicotine and getting high and bugging out, that's wicked. Fire isn't wicked, but if you take it and turn it to an explosive and make an intercontinental ballistic missile, wipe a city out, that's wicked. Water isn't wicked, but if you take it and simulate drowning and do waterboarding on the men of God, then that's wicked. There's a lot of things that have been created that are not wicked, but man, and they're driven to lust spirit, it's going to turn the works of the Most High into wickedness. Right? Tell you that in Ecclesiasticus. Right? Let me get you hold out. You was getting that one?
Yep.
Okay, Con, well, let me.
Con, you got it.
Yeah, let me get this one real quick. This Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and 26. It's like a 28, 29. Lo, this Ecclesiastes 7 and 29. Lo, this only have I found, that the Most High hath made man upright, but they have sought out many inventions. So the Most High made man upright. He made fire, right? He made water. He made these things within 6 days and made them with a particular purpose. But at the end of the day, when it says, but they have sought out many inventions, it just means man is going to do what they want to do. They're just going to do what they want. They're going to be seeking lust and use it to sin. You got it, King.
Con, this is the book of Sirach, chapter 33, and verse number 14. It says, good is set against evil, and life against death. So is the godly against the sinner, right? And the sinner against the godly. So look upon all the works of the Most High, and there are two and two, one against another. So it's always something one against another, whether that be the sun against the moon, righteous against wicked, old against young. You understand? Jacob against Esau. But you also have iron. Iron could be used for multiple things. It could be used for the sword, to go to war, and to defend, you understand, the nation, your wife. It could be protecting you, right? Or iron could be used as a torture tactic, man. They used to brand us with iron. They used to put their so-called master slave name on it, and they used to brand you, whether that be on your back, or whether that be on your thighs, or whether that be on your face, man. They will brand you. So iron could be used on the right-hand side, or it could be used on the left-hand side. You know, I just looked up sage. It says it is high in antioxidants and may support oral health, aid brain function, and lower blood sugar and cholesterol levels. This green spice is also easy to add to almost any savory dish, right? Enjoy fresh, dried, or as tea. So, I mean, the Lord did not create the sage to burn and wrap around a stick that you get from the crystal store, man, and wave it on high, right? Very slow and seducing to grab all of these spirits to aid them from you, man. This is not a whatever that light is that kills all the bugs on your front porch, man. That's not what sage is. It kills all of the demons, right? It says, I'm gonna read 15 again. So look upon all the works of the Most High. They are two and two, one against another. So like the brother says, not off, but you want to make sure that whatever spirit you using, whatever it is in, is the right spirit. Because you could use something that's righteous and turn it into wickedness, man.
God. And I want to get that real quick. This Ecclesiasticus chapter 39 and 27. It reads, all these things are for good to the godly, so to the sinners they are turned into evil. That's plain. So it's good for the godly, but a sinner will turn it into evil. Man, a sinner will make crack. The sinner, I mean, everything you see in the earth was made out of the earth. A TV, a mirror, anything you see, it was made out of the earth. Everything. There's nothing that came from a third heaven, another galaxy, far, far away. This laptop was made from the earth. This camera was made from the earth. Your TV, it was made out of elements from the earth. So man takes the elements that have been here of old and molds them together to create evil things on the earth. Right? So sage has a purpose, but I'll say this. There are things in the spiritual world that the Most High knoweth and angels know that have purposes that man may not know. Like Tobit and taking a liver and a gall, or using this, and they took a fig and they put it on Hezekiah's boils. And there are certain secrets in the earth. You understand that only the Most High know it, right? But is that for you to kind of dig and to figure this thing out? No, man. The Most High gave you herbs and medicines, right? But if you're trying to take these things and make them, we got brothers saying, am I off if I take the gall or the liver and smoke it to drive out the lust? I'm watching pornography every night. I'm going fishing tomorrow to get me a liver, right, from silver bass. Then you take the liver out and you put it on the grill and you smoke it, man, right, with the fire. That's not how this thing works, man. Right? You can't just, oh, my eye hurt, I'm gonna take the gall and put it on my eye. Then it's gonna smart. Then it's gonna itch and the flakes are gonna get the eye boogers out in the morning. I don't like the eye boogers. I'm gonna take. No, brother. You can't just do what you want to do, man. Right? Now, again, there are secrets. That's what the heathen would do. They would look in the liver, say that in Ezekiel, and start tracing the liver lining and all types of witchcraft and sorcery, man. Right? So if you want to get rid of demons in your house, you got to exorcise those demons out. You got to anoint it with oil. You got to pray. You got to fast. You got to rebuke them in the name of the Lord. And that stuff in paranormal activity, some of that stuff be happening to people, man. You know, spirits can actually be in your house. It's not Hollywood. You can have a lust demon. You might take some incense and wave it around a certain person, and they might just get up and just leave the room. The spirit just have them run out the house, man. Right? Just, it's all types of spirits going on. Right? But yeah, you got it, King.
Shalom, King. I want to make a quick point too. It'd be a spirit when we bring out the words of the Lord. Now, we're not saying, oh, demons come up. We're not calling Asmodeus and Apollyon, and we're not saying these demons' names. As the word goes out, it attracts spirits. Whether the Lord wants to magnify his name by cutting the doctrine, whether the Lord, keep a brother sharp through the spirit, whether the Lord bring him up to cut him down for the edification, whether the Lord just want these spirits to bow down to the men of the Lord, or whatever the Lord's purpose is, the word going out too, it brings spirits. And when it brings spirits, it may bring a Christianity spirit. We got all type of demons at the harbor, right? We got, the list is very long through the spirit, man. If we were to name all the demons we dealt with, man, that would be a 3-hour part series, man. So, right. Like the brother was going into, spirits attract, to certain things. Like that woman that followed Paul. Let me get that real fast. She wasn't following him because he had candy hanging out his pocket, right? It's the spirit he was in. So, like it's saying, told before, wicked spirit loveth her, and all of them that come into her. Paraphrasing greatly. So there's certain spirits that may follow you, trouble you. And you don't know what you're doing to entertain the spirit. Think about it. You may, let's say you drop something sweet like a watermelon as you're walking. Ants will start following you, man. All type of creatures, or a dog, or a stray cat. You don't know what spirit you're in that you're attracting these spirits to follow you and cleave unto you, man. Right? Let me get this real fast. It's the book of Acts, right? Chapter, Salaki, bear with me. Chapter 16 and verse, let me get straight to the point. In verse number 17, it says, the same followed Paul and us and cried, saying, these men are the servants of the Most High God, which shew unto us the way of salvation. So spirits will follow you, they'll trouble you, right? All of these different things, right? They'll cleave unto you. So you got to be careful what you're entertaining and what you're going into, because you know you could be putting yourself in a situation to be overtaken by demons. It's the book of Tobit, chapter 16, right? In verse, I'm gonna start at 17. And the devil shall smell it and flee away and never come again anymore. But when thou shalt come into her, rise up both of you and pray to God, which is merciful. Right, so the brother said this was by the hand of the Lord and the angel. Don't take it upon yourself to be overzealous in matters that don't pertain unto you and jam in every point that we read and apply to your life, because you could be overthrown by that. Too bad.
Yeah, and I just want to show this real quick. This is a blood moon, right? That brother saw, right? Here in Baltimore. It's a full blood moon out there, right? So that's a sign of judgment, bloodshed, war, and destruction on the earth. So we see this and we pray that the Most High judges these heathen. And the Lord says, show new signs, make other strange wonders, man. Glorify thy hand and stretch forth thy arm, paraphrasing. Right? So, and guess what? We're hoping that that a naval ship of China crashes into Babylon, or we're hoping that Taiwan gets invaded. We're hoping that an official is cut down. We're hoping for the big things, man. You know, Lord willing, this turneth unto good, right? For the servants of the Lord. It's kind of blurry. You can kind of see it. You kind of can't. You know, you might have to look it up on your own online, type in blood moon, whatever. But it's been blood moons about 3 days in a row, man. If I'm not mistaken, if not 3 times this week. We got to make sure, you know, you see that, you should tighten up, right? We should all tighten up. You got something else on this question?
Nah.
Yeah, I think that's a Benjamite thing. Is that an Issacharite thing, burning sage? It's not really a Judite thing. It's not really a Judah thing. I think it's an Ephraimite, Issachar deal. I could be wrong. Right? But regardless, you still, you know, that's not the way to drive out demons. They take chicken blood and they doing all types of stuff, man. So we can move on. The Shimsu Hor was the first secret society that reigned in Egypt 1,000 years. Okay, well, we're not dealing with that one. Okay. Are dead bodies actually going to raise out of the grave? Yes. Right? Khan. Dead bodies are actually going to raise out of the graves. Believe it or not, they're coming out the graves, right? It's written. Let's go to the book of Matthew, right? Chapter 27. Let's go to verse 50. All right? Matthew chapter 27 and 50. Yahushua, when he had cried, it's like he cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake, and the rocks rent. So that's symbolic for the destruction when Yahushua returns. A lot of things happened when Yahushua was crucified that was a foreshadowing of things to come, and that went into particular prophecies, right? Verse 52. And the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose and came out of the graves after his resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared unto many. See that? So after Yahushua resurrected, you had a lot of other bodies that came out the grave. Could have been your uncle, your cousin, you know, maybe your father passed, your earthly father, your mother, and they actually came out the grave. And you had to knock at the door. Damn, 3 in the morning, you know, who is that at the door that right? And they beaten the damn door at the door, man. And they thought when Peter got busted out of prison by the angel, they didn't believe that was Peter. The woman said that's just his angel, right? So when these guys knocked at the door, they opened the door and he said, let me get some water or something, man. Right? Shalom, Yahweh Shmi Awashai, man. Right? They kind of walked in the house. So yeah, that actually happened, man. Bodies actually are going to come out the grave. Now you may say, well, that's sci-fi. That's science fiction. That's a tall tale. I don't believe it. Well, it's written. We believe it. It's not strange for a body to come out the grave because it's written, man. That's what we're called weirdos and bug outs. And those Negroes out there, they believe in zombies. They call it zombies, right? They say that you believe in necromancing. The Lord is a necromancer. No, man. This is the resurrection. Men that gave their life for this truth by the grace and wisdom and justice of God are going to have the right to come out that grave and receive the reward of their labor, man. Life don't end here. The Lord said if we have our hope in this life, it's like if in this life is our hope, then we have no hope, paraphrasing, man. Brothers got it.
This is the book of John, chapter 5, and verse number 25. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the hour is coming, and now is, when the dead shall hear the voice of the Son of God, and they that hear shall live. For as the Father have life in himself, so hath he given to the Son to have life in himself, and have given him authority to execute judgment, also because he is the Son of Man. Marvel not at this, but the hour is coming, in the which all that are in the grave shall hear his voice, and shall come forth. They have done good unto the resurrection of life, and they that have done evil unto the resurrection of damnation. Right? So like the brother said, they're actually going to be bodies that get raised up out of their graves, man. That's plain, man. That's actually going to happen. And we believe these things, man. When Elisha touched, when a man touched Elisha's bones, he got raised up. So, I mean, it's a spirit on the earth of our fathers, right? And the spirit that they have, Elijah raised somebody from the dead, Elisha, right? The Lord, right? A lot of our forefathers, this wasn't something that was so unbelievable to happen. And on a spiritual level, brothers are waking up out of the grave right now. To see the most chief demon in your city put on fringes, repent, and start treating women with respect, caring for their bodies, and want them to cover themselves and love one another, their brothers. I mean, that's a miracle in itself, man. So all praise to the Most High, we came out of the graves. So you have a spiritual resurrection and a physical resurrection.
Brother Zuri. And this is Daniel 12:2. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. Right? The brothers brought it out early in the Gospels. When the Lord returns, right, it's going to be another resurrection. Right? Some men are going to come out of the earth to everlasting life, and others to everlasting shame and contempt. Right? In other words, some are going to be destroyed, and others are going to be delivered. But nevertheless, man is coming out the grave. Now, if you want to know the exact detail down to the science, how that's going to happen, I mean, nobody really knows. The Lord may have them rematerialize a certain way, just come up, just nobody really knows all of that, right? But nevertheless, again, dead bodies will come out of the earth. This is Isaiah 29:16. Instead of verse 19. It's like the 26 and 19. Thy dead men shall live together with my dead body. They shall arise, awake, and sing, ye that dwell in the dust. For thy dew is as the dew of herbs, and the earth shall cast out the dead. And that's plain upon tables, but I'll read further. Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation be overpast. Right, when all hell is breaking loose. For behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain. Right, that links up with Daniel 12:2.
All right, so good questions. Good questions. HBKN again. How can you know if you're being influenced by a demon? These are good questions, man. Now, I was talking to someone earlier, and I was saying, look, a lot of people with demons don't even know they have demons on them. It's a very easy thing to say, I don't have a demon on me, right? Because demons, their job is to blind you and not allow you to know that it is a demon, right? Demons come, the Lord said, and no marvel, because Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. You think a demon is going to walk up to you and say, hi, I'm Demon Joe. I am Demon Lust. Well, if I kind of crash here for a few weeks, right? I mean, you got room in there for me. I know you in this truth thing, but can I kind of slide through? Kind of need a spot to crash. No, demons don't move like that, man. The demons are created to be, for lack of better terms, subtile. Remember, they're part of the army of the Lord, right? And some demons are bold, and some demons they move in subtlety, right? Let me get this real quick. All right, quick precept on that. Right, kind of paraphrase. Let me get this in Matthew first. This is Matthew chapter 12 and verse 43. When the unclean spirit is going out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none. So you might get rid of this unclean spirit. It could be a spirit of lust. That spirit doesn't just call it quits. That spirit has been ordered by the Most High to inhabit a vessel. So they walk through dry places, trying to find a home. Then he said, I will return into my house from whence I came out. And when he is come, he findeth it empty, swept, and garnished. So this man is not looking at himself as empty, swept, and garnished, but the demon can see you. The demon knows your intentions. The demon knows how weak man is. He says, this guy really didn't repent. He kicked me out, but he didn't replace me with the Holy Spirit, right? He still has a vacant house, and I'm a squatter, and I can go in there, right? Then goeth he and taketh with him 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there, and the last state of that man is worse than the first. Even so shall it be also unto this wicked generation. Right? So this guy didn't know he had 8 demons on him. So you know, demons move by subtlety. Now, really, one of the best ways to know that if you're being influenced by a demon, it's that person that don't have a demon around you got to tell you got a demon on you, or through a hard self-examination, right? Those are really the only, I mean, in my opinion, brothers could say, you know, speak their piece on it, but, you know, somebody got to tell you got a demon on you, and you got to examine yourself. The brothers got it.
Let me get this quick precept in Wisdom of Solomon. This Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6 and verse, I'm going to start at 14, right? It says, whosoever seeketh her early shall have no great travail, for he shall find her sitting at his doors. Now, sitting at his doors isn't talking about outside. You open up the door to wisdom. It's talking about your mind. Wisdom is always going to be at every thought, every action you do, every decision you make, everything you move in. If wisdom isn't at your doors with it, then you're moving presumptuously. When you move presumptuously, it's without counsel, direction, or you're moving on your own will. Whether that be out of anger, whether that be out of lust, whether that be out of fear, whatever the case may be, you're running, right? You don't know what to do. You want to beseech the wisdom, counsel, and direction of these commandments and laws out of the Bible to know how to think, move, and react to all these situations. It says, to think, therefore, upon her is perfection of wisdom, and whosoever watcheth for her shall quickly be without care. This is the point. For she goeth about seeking such that is unworthy of her, sheweth herself favorably unto them in her ways, and meeteth them at every thought. So the Lord said that wisdom will meet you in every thought. So if the thought you think, you know, that woman, her thighs, this brother, I wish he would, you know, I remember that back in the days when this happened, you're supposed to immediately check yourself by the thoughts that come upon you. Now, once you start to entertain these thoughts, you're entertaining these demons and you're leaving your door cracked. If your door is cracked in your mind, you could catch a cold by leaving your window open at night. Now, that window could literally be an inch open and it could be a blizzard outside. You don't know how many demons are outside of your door right now, man, ready to jump into your mind. If you leave it cracked at any second, and just like on a carnal sense, man, you leave your door unlocked. I mean, so like your door cracked, you could suffer somebody breaking in and attacking you, man. Even on with so-called nature, you carry your window crack or your door crack, you can start having the sniffles. Then you have hypothermia, you start coughing, got bronchitis, and all. Now you're just starting to go down. Now you got to put a warm rag on you, got a onion soup and turmeric and all of these different things. Now your body's at it needs help through health. The same way with leaving your mind a little bit cracked for folly, vanity, madness, wicked communication. You know, even music. Music could put demons on you, right? You listen to the wrong songs, now you're moving in a wicked spirit. You know, letting harboring in things too long. I mean, you may want to think about a matter if it upsets you. You know, what? How can I go about this matter and correct with counsel? You may think upon it, go over the precepts, but if you're not thinking upon it in the order of the Most High, I mean, the Lord is going to give you over to those demons. And another thing you got to remember is, you know, the Lord puts men under a delusion. If you aren't applying these precepts, you'll quickly find yourself under a delusion. And that delusion could be thinking that you're justified when you're really wicked. Hey, the Lord said this through the hand. Let me get this real quick. Let's go to the book of 1 Samuel. Right? It's the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 24, right? In verse number 4, right? I'm going to start at 2. Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men out of all Israel and went to seek David and his men upon the rocks of the wild goats. And he came in the sheepcotes by the way where there was a cave. And Saul went in to cover his feet, and David and his men remained in the sides of the cave. And the men of David said unto him, Behold, the day of which the Lord said unto thee, Behold, I will deliver thine enemy into thy hand, that thou mayest do to him as seemeth good unto thee. Then David arose and cut the skirt of Saul's robe privately. So men told David, look, this is the day that you've been waiting for. The Lord has delivered him into your hands. David cut right Saul's garment of his robe. Verse 5. And it came to pass afterward that David's heart smote him because he had cut off Saul's garment. Your heart's supposed to smote you when you do certain things. You're supposed to check yourself. Your thoughts should always be with wisdom. And you can see that David's spirit was righteous because after that action, his thought immediately went to wisdom and not in carnal to follow his flesh. Brothers got it.
And brothers, hear me?
God.
And I was going to make a quick point. You know, that man has the ability to either repel or to invite spirits. I'm not sure if brothers brought it out. Here's a quick precept. This is Luke, the 10th chapter, and it says this. I would say 10 and before I get that, I'm going to get Proverbs 27:9, 19. As in water face answer to face, so the heart of man to man. So on a low level, you have the ability to kind of examine yourself through the spirit if the Most High allows you to see if something's creeping up on you, right? If you've been eating too much, and if you've been, playing a game too much, on a phone too much, if you've been watching too many movies, if you're just not taking care of your body, you know, through examination, you can see that spirit creeping up on you. If you look in the mirror, look in that spiritual mirror and see what blots and stains you may have on your garment. That's one way you can see if you're slowly being influenced. All right. Now, I heard somebody bring out 2 Samuel. Was it 24?
Come.
Oh, you already brought that up? Brothers, hear me?
God.
Come, I brought it up, King.
Oh, okay. God, I got one more. This is 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 3. Right, touching on the question, how can you know if you're being influenced by a demon? I mean, when you read and study the scriptures, you know when spirits are coming towards you, or you may know like how a man is acting, right? Whether he has a spirit or not for him. That's only like through experience and through reading and studying. This is 2 Timothy chapter 2, it's like chapter 3, verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves. And that's the spirit, that's the demon in the self. Covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. So the Lord is giving you these signs that these spirits are going to come in these last days. And you have the discernment to see, okay, they ain't kind of being a boaster, kind of being a blasphemer right now. Are you going to allow them in your life or kind of repel it? Without a natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heedy, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away, for of this sort are they which creep into houses, right? And on the spiritual level, your house, your mind, and lead away silly women laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts. So these spirits, I mean, they don't sleep. They're nonstop. But you have to have the discernment to know what you're looking at, to know what's what. You have to be wise according to the spirit. And then you'll be able to see if something's trying to influence you or not. But however, on a higher spiritual level, I mean, if you're deceived and the Lord don't want you to see it, then it is what it is. There's not much you can do. That's Job 12 and 16. That'd be the last precept I get. Book of Job, chapter 12. So like it's 16. The deceived and the deceivers are his.
Yeah, it's 12 or 16. With him is strength and
with him
wisdom.
is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceivers are his. And that's plain.
That's right. That's right. We're rolling through them, man. Beautiful questions. Abad Babal. Right? Abad Babal. Shalom. So, what are women not allowed to teach in a Bible study? Can we teach newer sisters in the truth about the laws, the Old Testament? How do I know if I'm teaching too much and going off? Okay. All right. Well, in Titus, the second chapter, it tells you, it gives you a great list, right? So let's go to this. All right. Let's go to Titus, the second chapter. Right. There's nothing wrong with a woman teaching women, right? Or older women teaching younger women, right? Titus chapter 2 and verse 6. It's like a 2 and 3. The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the younger women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children. And that ultimately, if you're teaching that, you can't just read Titus. Let's say you're an older sister and there's a younger sister in front of you. And you say, well, she says, can you teach me? And you just read Titus chapter 2 and 3 through 4. It's not how it works. There are accounts on how wives love their husbands that you can go into. You can go into Genesis, right, and show this account, right? You can go into Exodus and show this account of Moses' wife, man, right? Saving Moses from the death angel, right? You can go into these different accounts and go into it. Now, how do you know if you're going too much or if you go outside of what's written right here? right? I mean, those are the boundaries and limitations. If you start going into, they don't say that they may teach the young woman an in-depth breakdown of Revelation 9, that they may teach the young women how to backbite and gossip, how to leave their husbands. That's not in there. You need to leave him, right? He ain't right. Now, that could be a real situation if she's some type of abusive relationship, or something that warrants that type of advice. But these counsels or these conversations and these teachings should be predicated off of what's written right here. Brothers got it.
Well, I'm gonna get the classic. It's Amos chapter 3 and verse 6. It says, "Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people be not afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord have not done it? Surely the Lord will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets." So, I mean, the true secrets and mysteries, you don't want to be that sister that has a revelation out of nowhere, right? You're going into prophecy, you didn't counsel with anybody, you're breaking things down, you don't even know if it's correct, you're leaning on your own understanding, and you're breaking these things down to the younger sisters. Leave certain things up to the men to be able to break down, because it was given to the elect man. The Bible was given unto man to give to the nation, not given unto woman to give to the nation. And that's spiritual, because the man is supposed to have the order and construct everything, break down the laws, teach the women, teach the children, right? That's all spiritual. And a lot of the Bible, as you read it, a lot of the laws, are to the priests, but it's to man, right? For man to be able to know how to till the land, for man to be able to know how to do certain things, keep certain laws. That's applicable all for women as well, but you have to keep this book in the spirit of how it is written. It's written to man to teach the nation. Now, if women take that upon themselves and teach everything that men are supposed to teach, and the understanding that the Lord gave unto the servants, the prophets, that would be negating the men's purpose to be able to break that down for the whole nation. But like the brother said, it would be very wise to teach women things. How to treat your husband, understand how to grow in this truth, how to remain from all type of wickedness of the mind, and experience teach of wisdom. For a woman to go through the accounts of her experience that she has experienced in her life would be very well for those young sisters that never encountered those things. What if that older sister has been through hell and back in her marriage 7 times over? That sister has been homeless. That sister has been in a situation where she didn't have a congregation. That sister wasn't born into the truth. You understand, like you were, or whatever the case may be. All of her experience, she can apply with Proverbs, Sirach, Ecclesiastes, Psalms, all of these different books to help apply and break it down through the accounts that she had witnessed and went through to help you understand in your life. So those are the things we're supposed to be teaching, or the women, rather, the older women, to the younger children, because experience teaches wisdom. You don't want to be 16 years old teaching another 16-year-old when you haven't really been through anything. You don't really know what you're talking about, and you're regurgitating things that you've heard that you don't even know the precepts on. So, I mean, that's why it's an aged woman. It's a spirit behind it.
Kind of like when you read in Luke, it's like your Ruth, the 2nd chapter, in the 3rd. You see Ruth giving, it's like your Naomi giving Ruth advice on how to deal with Boaz. And she wasn't saying it just to say it or winging it. She's saying this from experience. But although it, went another way, I mean, it's still advice. And, I'm led to believe Naomi wasn't winging it when she told her this advice. So let's get the book of Ruth. Oh man, it's a whole lot I want to get. I get to the crux. Ruth, the 2nd chapter and the 19th verse. And her mother-in-law said unto her, Where hast thou gleaned today? And where wroughtest thou? Blessed be he that did take knowledge of thee. And she showed her mother-in-law with whom she had wrought, and said, "The man's name with whom I wrought today is Boaz." And Naomi said unto her daughter-in-law, "Blessed be he of the Lord, who hath not left off his kindness to the living and to the dead." And Naomi said unto her, "The man is near of kin unto us, one of our next kinsmen." And Ruth the Moabitess said, "He said unto me also, Thou shalt keep fast by my young men until they have ended all my harvest." Right? So Boaz is looking out for Ruth. Reading on in verse 22, and Naomi said unto Ruth, her daughter-in-law, "It is good, my daughter, thou go out with his maidens, that they meet not in any other field." So she kept fast by the maidens of Boaz to glean unto the end of the barley harvest and of the wheat harvest, and dwelt with her mother-in-law. Now let's get to the point. Jump into chapter 3. This is what we want. Chapter 3, verse 1. Then Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, "My daughter, shall I not seek rest for thee, that it may be well with thee?" Like, I got you. Okay? She about to spit some righteous advice. Verse 2. And now is not Boaz of our kindred, with whose maidens thou wast? Behold, he winnoweth barley tonight in the threshing floor. Right, he about to do his business with the barley. Right, she telling her how it's about to play out. Wash thyself therefore, and anoint thee, and put on thy raiment upon thee, and get thee down to the floor, but make not thyself known unto the man until he shall have done eating and drinking. This is righteous advice. She said, wait until he get done eating and drinking. Naomi knows man. She knows the nature of man. After a long day, they just want to chill out and relax. She didn't say, interrupt him while he working, kind of stop him in the middle. She said, wait till the day is over. Verse 4, and it shall be when he lie down that thou shalt mark the place where he shall lie, and thou shalt go in and uncover his feet. Right? It takes off his feet after a long day, kind of uncover his feet, and lay thee down, and he will tell thee what thou shalt do. And she said unto her, all that thou sayest unto me, I will do. Now, this is wise advice. You was about to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, like you said, this is what women should be teaching. She said, mark his place. And your husband might have a favorite spot where you go and sit down, right? He might have a favorite, he might have his favorite chair. He got all of the clothes all on his favorite chair. You fold the clothes, and that's his chair. He come in, he sit down, and that's his unwinding spot. You got to kind of, like Yaradan said, she's teaching her the little things, man. Right? The little things about how to love. This is how you love your husband. Pay attention to him. Ruth is being taught, Genesis, the 3rd chapter, about your desire being towards your husband. Remember, if your desire is towards your husband, it means you crave and long after him. You know his favorite this, what he don't like. If he like the air on at night, does he want the fan on? Does he want grits for breakfast? On weekend, is he a waffle guy? And you can't just be a woman. Oh, I don't know what he wants. You don't think I don't know. He's so. No, you got to kind of know this guy, man. You got to kind of know this guy, man. You got to, and I know my husband. I know when he come in, he going to take his keys. He's going to put his keys right there. We put this right there. Maybe he going to ask me for a glass of water. He going to sit down. I'm going to have the water right there for him already. So like y'all now saying, these are the things that a woman is going to be justified, a married woman, right? I know this isn't necessarily about a married woman question, but her justification is on how she serves her husband. She serves Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai through serving her husband. All right. So a man is going to be justified on how he serves the Most High through Yahweh Shai. Right. So if a woman wants to gauge her level of works and where she stands, strictly married woman, she should say, well, how have I been serving my husband? Right. Because she has to serve her husband the same way she would serve the Lord, or serve the Lord through serving her husband and dealing righteously with her fellow Israelite companions and sisters, man. So I just want to make that point.
Mighty point. And she's not, she's not saying because she just thought of it and she's winging it. She had a husband. When you read
Right.
early in the chapter, she had a husband. She know what a man likes. You know, he wasn't. She didn't have a boyfriend. She didn't have a fling. She had a mighty husband, and
Right.
he knew her, and she knew him. And so she's giving her this advice on how to, deal with a man righteously, right? And so when we read in verse 5, it's like in verse 5, and she said unto her, all thou sayest unto me, I will do. Hey, you need something? I got you. I got you. And that's what, man, that's what Jake want to hear at the end of the day. You just slaving at the plantation. Hey, baby, you want a beer? Hey, that'll put a smile on a brother's face. That'll make his whole day. That'll make his whole week. Ice cold water, just a nice cold beer, just a little rub on the shoulder. You kind of feel relaxed. That this is happening in the scriptures. Verse 7. And when Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, right? He was drunk, drink, and his heart was merry. He went to lie down at the end of the heap of corn, so it's kind of soft. And she came softly. Hey, nigga, she wasn't off. She came softly. That's how Eve comes. Mad at you. They stuck their feet. Kind of do this. After a long day, you got to deal with that. She came softly unto him. So Naomi is teaching a younger woman to be soft, not to be hard, not to be adamant like a stone, not to flex muscles. The woman come in, she start flexing her muscles at you. Shalom. Nobody wants to deal with that.
So
You got it.
yeah, I was gonna say they call it soft girl era now. Eve is like, well, look, I'm in a soft girl era. I said they call it soft girl era now. That's the new thing. They're trying to be gentle and all of that now. That's the new thing.
Gone. Verse 8. And it came to pass at midnight that the man was to finish. Let me read 7 again. And when Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of corn. And she came softly and uncovered his feet and laid her down. Real soft and gentle. And it came to pass at midnight. So she kind of waited for a little bit. It's midnight. That the man was afraid and turned himself, and behold, a woman lay at his feet. He's like, what's going on? And he said, who art thou? And she answered, I am Ruth, thine handmaid. Spread therefore thy skirt over thine handmaid, for thou art a near kinsman to me. Right? Let's get the ball rolling. Can you promise us, kind of, look after me and then some when you go deep into it? You're closest of kin, in so many words. Look, what's going on? Let's talk righteously. But that's in so many words. We're not going to dive deep into it. The main point was this, that Naomi is showing a mighty act of being a teacher to the young woman. And Eve today can take something from this. That I yield.
And there's a lot to teach, man, like Yaradan said. When it comes to, when it comes to teaching children, women, that's a whole lot. You can't just do that in one day. I already talked about how to be discreet. I already did that. I want to know the Song of Solomon in-depth breakdown. We already talked about Rebecca. What's next? No, you should never be done, right? Going into these things. This is, dealing with the sister question. It's okay to teach the sister how the laws and the commandments, right? About how to be a virtuous woman. Proverbs 31 goes into that, right? Now, again, straight to the point, you're teaching too much if you're not teaching her what's written in Titus, the 2nd chapter, about how to love their husbands, how to be a wife, deal with children, be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, right? These are the things that you should harp on. And the curriculum should be predicated on those things. All right. Now, it's not saying, well, you only got to read Titus. Nobody's saying that. right? Read the whole Bible is for us as a nation, man and woman and children alike. When it comes to teaching other women, it's already documented what should be taught, right? Look, how to deal with labor, right? How to deal with a pregnancy, what foods to eat, what foods not to eat, right? How Sabbath lessons for children, right? How to love your husband, how to mark his spot, how to be discreet in the house, how to. There's so much that could be put out there, man. And I said this before. I said there's not a lot of Israelite women out there, as far as I know, publicly, who have like. I know a few. I'm not knocking, the ones that do, but it's not a lot. How to be a wife 101, how to be discreet 101, how to be discreet, 3-part series. This is what you do in this situation, the practicality of it. I'm not saying they don't exist. I know sisters that do that, but it's not as much as it should be. They tell you in Judges that Deborah rose up a mother in Israel. So you need mothers to rise up in Israel, man. There's a lot of madness going on in Israel. What you got, a king?
Kind of got one more. I'm gonna jump. This is Ezekiel 23 and 4. And the names of them were Aholah, the elder, and Aholabah, her sister, and they were mine, and they bare sons and daughters. Thus their names: Samaria is Aholah, and Jerusalem Aholabah. And Aholah played the harlot when she was mine, and she doted on her lovers, on the Assyrians, her neighbors. Right? You can continue to read, but when you jump down, this is what the sister did. Verse 11. And when her sister Aholabah saw this, she was more corrupt in her inordinate love than she, and in her whoredoms more than her sister in whoredoms. Right? So these were sisters, and they were just learning how to do wickedness from each other. And the other didn't correct the other. So even from little accounts from this, sisters can understand and learn on, if you see a sister in sin or in wickedness, you got to say something. There's so many accounts, and of course, this is symbolic for Israel, but nevertheless, you can definitely extrapolate this and apply it to yourself and to the sisterhood. That's just another account of what sisters can teach towards each other, chiefly elder sisters.
Beautiful, right? The Children of Zion 777. Is it a sin to get tattoos removed with lasers? Right? I was going to deal with that. I kind of getting there. Now, is it a sin? Let's get this precept real quick. This is the book of Ecclesiastes. Leviticus. Let me get Leviticus. Chapter 19. And I want to get 2 quick precepts in verse 28. You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord. Right? Now I want to get this precept. Right, Salakia. So we know you can't put cuttings in your flesh. That is Romans chapter 2 and 23. Thou that makest thy boast of the law, through breaking the law, dishonorest thou God. Right, because if you get lasers, you searing your flesh. It's put a laser cuts and puts all types of marks in your flesh, right, to remove it. You understand? So you can't keep the law by breaking the law. All right. So, I know brothers that have tattoos, you don't want to laser yourself all out, man. Now you got these marks. You see people who got I don't know if brothers ever seen a brother who had a tattoo removed. You can see how their flesh looked. It looked like they got zapped by something. And it's all kind of welted up and kind of beat up. You don't want to keep the law by breaking the law. I'll see if I can find a picture of that.
It's plain. Now you have cream. Of course, you want to look into that cream and see what the ingredients in there. I'm sure there's a much more natural way to remove that, it's just me take some deep search and deep Googling.
Con, I got a point when brothers finish.
You got it, King.
Okay, Con. This First Corinthians chapter 7 and verse number 20. It says, let every man abide in the same calling wherein he was called. So I know it's may hurt now that you know this truth, a lot of the lifestyle and things that you have done to yourself, but you want to abide in the same calling that you were called in. After you repented and are made new, the Lord is not going to look at you as that old spirit and demon that you used to be once you're washed. Now our bodies are corrupted. Our bodies, they have tattoos. Brothers may have bullet wounds. Brothers may have been stabbed. Brothers have a lot of things that may have happened to their bodies, right? They may have so-called got into a fight or got judgment to happen and got their arm amputated or just something wild. But nevertheless, you don't want to go beseech a doctor or anything to feel like you're making yourself more righteous. When the Lord, it's all about how the Lord looks at you. That's the deeper meaning of what really matters. A lot of brothers that may have tattoos, I'm sure if they could go back, they wouldn't have got them in the first place. But those brothers that have tattoos, the last thing on their mind is that they need to go to the doctor to get, like the brother said, zapped out, man. Well, if you're in the spirit, and you're washed and made new, man, that's mentally, that's spiritually, and that's the only thing that matters. This body is corrupted anyway. We're going to get new bodies. The Lord is going to make us brand new. You're not going to travel into the kingdom through this wicked life with all of your tattoos, your body modification, right? All of your different things. You have people that, I don't know what it's called, but they have surgery to change their eye color. You're not going to go with those recessive genes into the kingdom. That blonde hair, right? These different things, these tattoos, right? Those lip rinks and those lip stretchers, man. That's not going into the kingdom. Your body's going to be made brand new, and you repent of these things by modifying your body, stretching it all out, and defiling your temple, and grace and mercy shall abound. So in context, it's talking about the circumcision, uncircumcision, being a servant, being free, but nevertheless, the spirit of what the Lord is moving in is don't let these things withhold you with a flesh when I'm coming to set you free through the spirit.
And I wanted to actually show this image right here. This is a picture of laser tattoo removal. So it's the laser, then they show the invisible ink up top. Then it says pigment broken down by the laser. Then it pierces your epidermis. It goes deep into the dermis, almost into the hypodermis, damn into your muscle. So you see that? So they're getting deep, they're putting a hole in your skin, essentially, right? Through fire and heat, concentrated fire and heat and light. That's all it is. So you're breaking the law by keeping the law. So I want to get this precept too in the spirit of what Ariah brought out. This is the book of which one did you go into? Make sure I ain't. What precept, Ariah, did you say?
1 Corinthians 7 and 20.
Okay, well, yeah, all right. Well, that's pretty much what I was going to go into. Because you have men that came into this truth that was uncircumcised. Let me actually read that real quick. I'll read it. This 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and 17. But as the Most High hath distributed to every man, as the Lord hath called everyone, so let him walk, and so ordain I in all the churches. Is any man called being circumcised? Let him not become uncircumcised. Is any called in uncircumcision? Let him not be circumcised. Circumcision is nothing, and uncircumcision is nothing, but the keeping of the commandments of God. So it's all about making sure you're keeping the commandments, right? Every brother gets called into this truth, with all types of spirits, man. Or in the flesh, we'll use that fleshly infirmities and things you may have done to your body, right? You have women that get implants. You have men that get implants. You have men that get tattoos, women that get tattoos. You have strange, weird piercings and certain things, and you're trying to figure out what's going on in the life, and you put a hole in your lip and the big thing in your ear, and you're freaked out, man. Now, certain things, you could physically take off, right? But other things, like a tattoo, you can't remove that, man. To the point where the writer said, the prophecy, you're going to get a new body in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. At the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead in Hamashiach shall raise first, man. So have faith and hope in that.
God, I was going to get Sirach 14:01 to land back off the brothers. It says, "Blessed is the man that hath not slipped with his mouth, and is not pricked with the multitude of sins." Verse 2, "Blessed is he whose conscience hath not condemned him, and who is not fallen from his hope in the Lord." A lot of brothers may hate their tattoos and despise them, but I mean, you don't want to let your conscience condemn you, where you feel like the Lord's not going to deal with you, or you just feel like you unclean for life. I mean, you gotta strengthen up and build up your spirit and your faith, so your conscience doesn't condemn you in this matter, because you already prayed and you already repented. This is another precept in second. It's like in 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 10. "But by the grace of God I am what I am, and his grace which was bestowed upon me was not in vain." Right? So the Most High gave you grace, and it's not in vain. Right? It's through grace that you're in the truth today. And you can't let that be in vain. And you don't want to abuse that grace by sinning through removing your tattoos. The Most High brought you in this thing with tattoos. Of course, the tattoo itself is a sin, but understand he brought you into this thing. Like the brother said, brothers came into this thing with this infirmity and with this and with that, so on and so forth. But you can't let your conscience condemn you. And you have to acknowledge the grace that the Lord bestowed upon you. Yeah, that's what you might. That'd be judgment. That's judgment. It look itchy.
Like a damn keloid.
Yeah, it look inappropriate. And then that'll kind of destroy your mind even more seeing that.
So that's the tattoo. I know it's kind of blurry, and that's how it looked removed. It's kind of scarred up and wounded up.
Right, like 3rd-degree burns.
Yeah, it looked like a 3rd-degree burn. Right? Now you can say, well, I know what got. Right? I'll be all right. Now you can say, well, that's Esau. Keep coming up with excuses. Right? You keep saying, well, that's just the Edomites. We know how they are. I mean, we got pictures of Jake too. This guy had a Coca-Cola or a California polar bear on his face, man. Looked like he got branded. So, it really kind of, you tempting the Most High, too, man. You kind of, it's not the best thing to do. I know that may, like the brother said, that may let brothers down, man. You look at yourself, you're constantly reminded of your ignorance. Some brothers got damn guns and microphones and bullets on them, man. How foolish would you have to be, man? But I know, guess what, man? Those brothers believe, man, the Most High, that they're not going to have that in the kingdom, right? Those brothers repented, and those brothers, they're not getting that no more. Now, I know a brother that got a tattoo in the truth. I don't know if brother saw that before. He had the name. Yeah, he had the name of the Most High. I think he had it on his arm. Right? And one brother had a Judah. He got Judah on him. A brother actually went to Revelation, the 19th chapter, where it says the Lord had on his thigh a name written. Right? It said, well, the Lord had a thigh tattoo. So guess what, brother? I'm a follower of the Lord in all his steps, and he got a thigh tattoo. So you can't, the Lord didn't have a thigh tattoo. That's not what it's talking about. You got it, Kings. Let's you'll move on.
Con, we can move on.
Ariala, Shalom. How do I catch my fire back with the Most High? I feel like I'm not on as fire as I used to. Any tips on how to go about this? And this kind of link up. I know this brother asked the first question about zeal. He asked about how to get my zeal back and all of that. I mean, we can go into brothers want to go into it. I feel like we kind of tackled it earlier.
Yeah, we kind of did.
I don't know if the brother kind of asked this on top of the other one, kind of rephrased it, repackaged the same question, maybe a little bit better. But we did tackle this, brother. We tackled this.
Con, and to touch on that real fast, brothers have breakdowns on the Cold Cuts channel on how to stay on fire.
There you go.
So don't be shy. Don't be bashful. Go into the Cold Cuts channel, whether it be the backup Cold Cuts channel or the Cold Cuts channel resurrected, and type in, whatever it is that you're dealing with, want to learn, and most High willing, it'll come up. If it doesn't come up, most High willing, brothers are going to that, in the next couple weeks / months if we still here.
Okay, next question. What does 2nd Ezra chapter 7 and 28 go into? Right, 2nd Ezra chapter 7 and 28. Let's deal with it. Second Ezra's. I'm getting there real quick unless the brother want to get in there. And this has been a night of beautiful questions, man. These not the usual questions, right? 2nd Ezra 7 and 28. For my son Yahushua shall be revealed with those that be with him, and they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years. So that's the prophecy of the Lord coming on the scene around 400 years after the time of Ezra. Ezra was on the scene anywhere between around 457 to 444 BC. Roughly 400 years after is around the time that the Lord Yahushua was born in Bethlehem and came on the scene. Brother, want to get in there?
Con, I'll make a quick point.
Okay.
This is the book of Daniel, chapter 9 and verse 26. It says, and after 62 weeks shall the Messiah be cut off, but not for himself, for the people of the prince shall come, shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, to the end thereof shall be a flood, and to the end of wars, desolations are determined. So, I mean, from the time of Daniel, when it's going into the 70 weeks, right, of it being built up from Daniel chapter 9, verse 24, till you get to 27, it's talking about Yahushua too. So it's going into that time frame for the rebuilding, and it's talking about, going into the prince, right? I'm going to read it again. And after 62 weeks, should the Messiah be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince shall come and destroy the city of the sanctuary, which are the Romans, right? And the spiritual demon Satan. And the end thereof shall be with a flood, meaning utter destruction, and to the end of the war, desolations are determined. So, that's why you got to link these precepts up and go into it of what Daniel was referring and what Ezra was going into.
Okay, Ariala, another question. How do I find the meaning of words / names in the Paleo Hebrew? Brothers do lessons on that. You can also, there's a Hebrew book. I can't think of the name of it, man. One of the elders, I believe, from House of David put it together. It's a Hebrew booklet. It goes into Hebrew books. Brothers do lessons on it. So brothers do lessons on the Hebrew from the Ah to the Tha. There's Hebrew booklets you can get. So there's even an app, right? There's an app called Zadok that actually goes into the Hebrew as well. Go into the Hebrew characters, some elementary words, phrases, may go into verbs and adverbs and conjunctions. That complete ancient Hebrew workbook. All praise to the Most High. Right? How much is that one? What, 20? 40? Yeah, 40. Right? $40. Right, you'll get it July 13th, anywhere between the 8th and the 13th, or June 8th, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what it say? It's lucky I can't see. Yep,
Yeah.
June 8th, free delivery. Between the 8th and the 13th. You got 17 hours and 54 minutes to get it. Right, it's from one of the mighty elders of House of David. I have that book. They also have there's a tour. I know at times when Kabar they have the tour and Elashua Kodash as well. You know, those they have that. And I lost my train of thought. You know, like I said, they have an app. You know, there's an app called Zadok that brothers can go into, and it kind of keeps you sharp. You know, with the Hebrew, there's a lot of resources that you can get access to be able to go into that Hebrew. Because the concordance doesn't go into the Lashon Kodash, right? The concordance goes into the Assyrian script, right, for the Hebrew, but it doesn't go into the Lashon Kodash. So somebody said it's a site called Samawi Books that has a good Paleo Hebrew dictionary, right? You see that? I didn't know that. There's also a brother in the camp sent the link for this for a Bible site, but it has the Greek, the Hebrew, they have the Septuagint on there, the Latin Vulgate, then they have it in the Paleo Hebrew. I can't think of the name of that site. I think Inan had that. I'm asking amongst the brothers and see.
Now you have this as well. This is that ancient Hebrew language and alphabet. I'm gonna put it up for the screen again for a few seconds, so brothers can kind of get it. It's written by Jeff A. Benner. Understanding the ancient Hebrew language of the Bible, based on the Hebrew culture and thought. It's pretty decent.
See that?
And it also has the actual alphabet, which I'll get in a second. Goes into everything, damn near. Pictograph, the form, the names, the sounds, how it's pronounced, so called.
All right, all praise to the Most High. Right, so there's a lot that you can get into, man. Right, there's a lot we can get into. But brothers, we can bring out closing precepts. If we didn't get to your question, look out for a Q&A on the Cold Cuts Resurrected channel this week. Brothers may go into that. You know, write your question down, inbox brothers. You know, I got to get back into my inbox and, you know, tackle these questions. Email us, watchmeforisrael77@gmail.com. We didn't get to your question. You know, hold on to your question if you want to use it for the next. We may do a part 2 on this. Right, so it's good to go into this because it allows us to understand a wide variety of topics and diverse lessons. Right, 1 minute we're going into marriage and how a wife should deal with her husband. Then we're going into Revelation chapter 20 in 1,000 years. Then we're going into Revelation chapter 22. Then we're hopping back into the law. So it's beautiful to go into the various breakdowns because we cover a wide, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Yahushua, of course, a wide, diverse menu. The brothers got it.
Right, this is the book of Revelation, chapter 3, and verse number 2. Right, be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die, for I have not found our works perfect before God. So brothers just got to continue to strengthen up what you know that lacks in your lives. And that just comes with a hardcore examination and dedication unto what you need. Not being proud. You should want to cut yourself, man. You shouldn't want to get in a spirit to where nothing offends you. You don't get cut. You're not growing. You know, when you prick your heart, it causes yourself to grow into this thing, man. Hey, David's heart was pricked. You understand? Hey, the Lord went out and saw all that a multitude of how his people was and had compassion on the people. So whether you need to labor more, have more love, whether you need to show more brotherly kindness, whatever it is, you should be examining and strengthening that up. Because you can't say in that day when the Lord takes that member away from you, whatever it was, whether you wasn't studying, showing enough love, fruit to the spirit, you wasn't laboring, whatever the case may be, that you could kind of have that to come back, man. There's certain things like frostbite that your finger is so destitute of blood pumping and health that it literally falls off of your body, man. You can't take that finger now and want to give it all the attention in the world. You want to wrap it up. You want to have surgery. You want to take this herb and take this point. You want to put on 4 gloves. At that point, it's gone. Because you didn't take the diligence at that time when you were cold, when it was a blizzard, when all hell was breaking loose to show to that finger after you knew that it was hurting them getting up. The same way you got to move in the spirit, man. Because before you blink 3 times and turn around, your spirit's going to be taken away from you. And you have nobody to blame but yourself. The Lord said this, remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast. You got to remember these accounts. Don't remember these accounts on the Sabbath day. That's all you do. It's just the Sabbath day. On the Sabbath day, you remember all the accounts. But during the week, when you need it the most, you start to fall faint. You start to be a fool, man. And start to cleave unto worldly understanding, knowledge, wisdom of this world, and cleave unto a bottle, cleave unto worldly wisdom. And now you're just starting to fade away. And the Lord said, remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch. So the Lord is telling you what's going to happen if you don't watch. I will come unto thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon you. So the Lord isn't going to give you a notice of when he's going to take away your spirit. It's going to be done like a thief in the night. So continue to build up everything you know to be fallen and that you need to examine, before it's too late.
This is Luke chapter 7, verse 45. Instead of verse 44. And he turned to the woman and said unto Simon, seest thou this woman? I entered into thine house, thou gavest me no water, but she hath washed my feet with her tears, and wiped them with her hairs of her head. Thou gavest no kiss, but this woman, since the time I came in, hath not ceased to kiss my feet. My head with oil thou didst not anoint, but this woman hath anointed my feet with ointment. Wherefore I say unto thee, her sins, which are many, are forgiven. For she loved much, but to whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little. All right, so in these last days, you have to really look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I properly loving the Lord? Am I self-disciplined? Do I wake up and pray, or do I pick up my phone first? Do I go home and, do everything that I want to do? Or do I read and at least thank the Lord that I got home? How much are you sincerely loving the Lord in your day-to-day? And that's something you really have to ask yourself. You can't, I love the Lord when I'm amongst the congregation. That's when I'm reading and studying. We kind of talk about the scriptures. That's loving the Lord a little. You have to love the Lord 7 days a week. 7 days. That means reading and studying and praying and fasting, right? Performing your alms. Even just thanking the Lord, that's loving him. You could be making a meal, you just start thanking the Lord. All praise the Most High gave me this tomato. All praise the Most High prepared this meal. You need to really thank the Lord and love him. Because even your words are a sweet sacrifice unto him. He's acknowledging your words. The same way he'll acknowledge if you said something wicked, he's going to acknowledge if you said something righteous. So you have to ask yourself, how much do I sincerely love the Lord? How do I show it? Do you show when people are around or when people are not around? How are you behaving yourself? Do you have any integrity? So that's something that's very mindful to, to keep in your spirit in these last days. Am I sincerely loving the Lord? Will I pray after this call? Or I just watch a 4-hour movie and say I had enough. I don't want to read and study no more. Or I'm going to go to the park. Not to say you can't defraud yourself of a good day, but understand there's a just balance. And not only that, chiefly put the Lord above all else. But with that, yield. You and mute, King.
All right, the water, right? This Revelation chapter 22 and verse 12. It reads, "And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be." So, brothers, ask yourself internally, a lot of self-reflection should be happening. You have blood moons going on. You had a blood moon June 1st, a blood moon yesterday, a blood moon today, right? You can't just ignore these things. That's just another blood moon. I've seen them. It's there. It's over. Whatever. What's next? What's to eat? No, you have to meditate on the works of Yahweh Bashmi Abashai, right? These things are set up for signs and wonders. You have to look at the prophecies. You got to go back sometimes and look at these prophecies and read how close you are unto your redemption that draws nigh, right? And ask yourself, where are you at in your works? Are you doing the bare minimum, right? Or are you average or mediocre? Or are you going above and beyond, man? You understand? These are the things that the Most High is looking at, man. Looking at your works, how much you show. Like the brother asked about zeal. We talked about zeal. Your zeal shows how much you believe, and your zeal is part of your works, man. Are you zealous in your prayers? But you kind of like Yarda said, pray every now and then. You just say, "Thank you, Jesus," and get up and put your shoes on, man, and go to work, right? Like Christianity, right? Do you fast? Oh, I didn't eat all day, man. I forgot to bring my lunch to work. I guess I fasted. No, that's not fasting, man. Right? You got to ask yourself, are you really zealous? Are you going above and beyond? Are you pushing yourself? Every day is a battle to be a better you. That's what this thing is about. Every day in this truth is a battle to be a better you in word and in deed, bro. And in thoughts. Are you meditating in the scriptures? That's part of your works too. Your thoughts are your works. Do all you think about is money and your job? Are you thinking about the laws, thinking about the commandments, thinking about the precepts, thinking about parables and secrets? What are you thinking about? Because all of this is going to be weighed in the balance, not just your fringes and your beard on your face. You know how many precepts and ordinances and instruction and laws and commandments that we're going to be held to on the day of the Lord? Your beard is easy. Fringes are easy. So it's the rest of this, man, that you got to look at and make sure that you actually live in this thing. But with that, we're going to close up, giving, of course, our honor and glory to Yahweh. I will open up the floor like we always do for those who may want to ask an extra question or counter or whatever the case may be, for about an hour, like we've been doing. We'll post that number, 213-603-9096, and that PIN number is 94809-305. So it's 213-603-9096. Should see it on the live chat, and that PIN number is 94809-305. With that, Brother Naquan.
Shalom, Brother Ryan.
Brother Yardan, shalom.
From Yeshua. Shalom.